warfare, it converts into act of terrorism. Number one, not a single individual or a group of individuals or an organization is allowed to take up the arms in any case. This is the first condition. There is a unanimity of opinion. I have made a full chapter on this subject, and Holy Prophet has declared it categorically in Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Sunan, Bayhaqi. Every book of hadith contains the chapter that only this is a privilege or right of the state to declare a warfare. Just or unjust, this is a separate question now. But it would be according to Islam if it is for just cause, for your self-defense. So this is the privilege and right of the state, or the governments. This is a matter between state to state and government to government. Not a single individual is allowed to do that. First condition. Number two, there is no warfare or killing, act of killing against non-combatants. Absolutely no. Just against combatants. So all suicide bombings being committed in any part of the world becomes totally haram and against the commandments of Quran and Sunnah. Suicide is also haram. So it combines two kinds of acts of haram. It is haram, killing your own self, and then it is a killing of mankind too. So two basic conditions. The third, there should be a just cause. And the just cause I have already explained. If we go through the Holy Quran, the specific causes are either one is your self-defense. You can fight only for your self-defense. It comes in Holy Quran. Just to quote Surah Al-Baqarah 190, self-defense. Number two, fighting against violence, brutality, and terrorism. This is the second objective. And this has been declared, this terrorism and brutality, violence has been declared as fitna. To make peace and harmony, to restore the peace and harmony, and to eliminate the fitna. So this comes in Baqarah 193 and Anfal 39. Second objective of the lawful war. Third, to help the oppressed people. As all these things are permissible in United Nations charters. To help the oppressed people where there is abuse of human rights. As it was done in case of Iraq or particularly in case of Kosovo. When Security Council resolutions from 1199 to 1244 were passed, where the law was passed for collective intervention in order to stop the abuse of human rights. The UNO Security Council, dozens of, after Iraq War in 1990 and then 92, in many occasions. And then this thing prevailed, the sovereignty of light, and before that sovereignty concept used to prevail on everything. Then human rights became the more forceful concept. So you are allowed to interfere with collectively. That's why the NATO forces interfere with that. And this is being carried on up till today. So in the same way, if there is abuse of human rights, the people are being killed, persecution is going on, oppression is going on, violence and brutality and acts is being carried on, to stop them. This is the third objective. And this thing comes in Surah An-Nisa, verse 75. Then again, fourth is, again, if there two states were at war, and then there was a truce, treaty of peace, and that other country breached the treaty of peace, and by that breach of peace, the state of war was restored again, and they were planning to attack you. So this is a preemptive war to save yourself in your self-defense. But again, this is not an offensive war. So this one, again, it is quoted in Surah Anfal, verse number 39. And in spite of all these four basic objectives of war, up till Surah Tawbah, and here comes some people mention and quote the verse of sword of Surah At-Tawbah. And some people wrongly consider that the Surah At-Tawbah, the particular verse known as verse of sword, that repealed and abrogated all verses which I have mentioned and quoted before. That is again totally wrong. We have to go to the tafasir. We have to go to the books of history to understand. That verse was again revealed just in connection of breach of peace which was done by the Meccans, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, breach of peace. Because those people, the Meccans, they had a truce for 10 years, total 10 years, and there was a total agreement that neither any country would attack on each other, nor they will help any other their allies. So they supported Banu Bakr. There was a tribe who was the ally of Meccans. They fought against the allies of Medinans. And they not only supported them with swords and everything, Banu Bakr, they attacked on Banu Khaza'ah. Banu Khaza'ah was an allied tribe of Medina. And Banu Bakr was an allied tribe of Mecca. So it was categorically written that they won't be allowed to support in any war against the allies of each other. Allies will also enjoy the same protection and peace. So Meccans supported them with money, with arms, and they participated physically in the war, in attack against Banu Khaza'ah. And this is how the Treaty of Peace of Hudaybiyah was breached. So after this breach of Treaty of Hudaybiyah, that war was, that verse of Surah At-Tawbah, which is known as verse of sword, was revealed. And this was revealed that because after breach of Treaty of Hudaybiyah, Makkah and Medina, again, Makkah restored its position as a state of war. Because it was suspended for 10 years by a treaty. When they broke the treaty, so it means by their act of breach, they restored again the state of war. They were again on the war position as they used to be, because they were always attacking Medina. They attacked in Badr, they attacked in Uhud, they attacked in Hudaybiyah, about 40 to 60 wars which were imposed on Holy Prophet and on Medina. None of them, about 80 wars, where he had to be involved, where he was forced to participate, directly or indirectly, none of them was inoffensive. He was always on defensive front, always on defensive front. Because most of the wars were war of trench, it was fought on the borders of Medina when trench was dug. Uhud was fought in the 2 miles away from city of Medina. They were about to enter into Medina, where there was a defensive war. So when they restored the position, the state of war, only then this verse was revealed. So this verse was revealed, it was absolutely no abrogation. There was no abrogation here. This was just mentioning of them, since the treaty of peace is breached. Now if they attack on you, or they do preparations of attack, now you are allowed to fight them when they fight you. So it was the restoration of the concept of fight by their breach of treaty of peace. So this verse of sword has nothing to do with the abrogation, because establishment of peace, this order continued till the last day of the life of Holy Prophet. And finally, the concept of jihad requires the cause should be just. It should not be waged by an individual or any group, and it should not be fought against non-combatants, and moreover there should be proportionality. La ta'tadu. وَقَاتِلُوا الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. Everywhere in Quran it is mentioned. You are allowed to fight them who have already imposed war on you, but don't transgress the limits. The conditions, those acts which have been declared to be forbidden on you, don't transgress and don't cross the limits. Meaning thereby, don't demolish their population, don't cut the trees, don't burn the trees, don't demolish the churches, don't kill the women, the priests, the monks, and all those prohibitions which were done. And don't do any kind of act of brutality with the enemy's dead bodies. So this was don't transgress. So your action should be in a proportion according to their act. And it should, so a proper conduct of Islamic conduct of warfare was given by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and the same was practiced by the companions. And the last point which I would like to take just maybe 5 minutes, and that is regarding the division of this world. This is again a very wrong pretext which is taken, and it is considered that all Western world or all non-Muslim world, the terrorist and extremist people, they have been given a wrong ideology. They misuse the terms and misapply the Islamic terms on wrong places. They consider the whole non-Muslim world is Darul Harb. But what to talk of non-Muslim countries? They consider the Muslim countries have already turned into Darul Harb. That's why they are fighting war against Pakistan. And Islam says even there is a corrupt government. I don't mention the names. Even there is a corrupt Muslim government in certain country, even then you cannot take arms against them. You have means, peaceful means to change the government. My last chapter of Fatwa deals with this topic. What are the peaceful means? Democratic means, constitutional means, peaceful means. Enter into the process, get integrated with the society, to the society, and work peacefully to change the situation, as every civilized society and every country is doing. Nobody is allowed in any case, even they are corrupt. So they say, according to Islam, first of all, let me mention that this categorization of Darul Islam or Darul Harb or some others, I have categorized into 5. Some old jurists used to categorize into 2. Some made into 3. I have categorized into 5. First of all, let us say this is not a textual matter. This division of the world or countries is not mentioned in Quranic text or the text of Holy Prophet's Hadith. Finished. This is an ijtihadi matter, which has been derived by the Islamic jurists, but on the basis of Quran and Sunnah. So there are 5 abodes, cutting short, according to the teachings of Quran, which can be derived juristically. Darul Islam. And Darul Islam means land of peace, abode of peace, and not abode of the laws of Islam. Again, this is a confusion. Imam Abu Hanifa, Shamsul Aimma Sarkhasi, Imam Tahawi, Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, Allama Ibn Taymiyyah, Aimma of Fiqh Shafi'i, and Imam Sawi al-Maliki, the al-Fiqh al-Malikiyya, Fiqh al-Shafi'iyya, al-Fiqh al-Hanbaliyya, Fiqh al-Hanafiyya, all 4 Sunni schools. Even the Jafri schools also. They agreed upon this idea. Majority of the Islamic jurists, majority, either they should consider Sultan or Ahkam, the rule or the laws. They say if a country is being ruled by Muslims, there are 3 conditions. And the people living there, Muslims or non-Muslims, if they are getting peace and security, and the law of kufr is not the constitution of that land. Kufr or shirk is not the law of the land, not the constitution of that land. Even a single law of Islamic Sharia, only one law is enforced, and all other laws of Islamic Sharia are not enforced. Even then that land is known to be abode of peace, Darul Islam. And they say, the Aim of Fiqh, they say that the reason why this abode is known as Darul Islam, they say not because of Ainul Islam, they say because of Salam. Not because the laws of Sharia and laws of Islam are enforced. That's why those countries would be known as the abode of Islam. No, they say if any country is guaranteeing peace to the inhabitants, to the civilians, because of peace, those countries are known to be Darul Islam. If the peace is guaranteed, freedom of religion is guaranteed, cultural freedom, religious freedom, life, honor, property, business, all human rights, they are guaranteed, protected. And there is no fear for their lives. So because of this guaranteed peace, and peace is known as Salam. And the word Islam has been